It was unexpected to discover myself working on a heartfelt art project with my son, with our creative energy flowing freely. That night marked a turning point. Like no other, greetings, I'm Evelyn, 42 years young, a devoted wife, a loving mother, and an explorer of feelings I never expected to encounter. How did an ordinary painting session transform into the most perilous emotional landscape I've ever navigated? Have you ever experienced that moment when someone truly understands you, fulfilling a deep-seated desire you weren't even aware you had? We'd love to hear your tales in the comments. What was it that pulled me into that place? Was it solitude, fragility, or perhaps something far more profound? I'm eager to listen to your viewpoint. On a frigid January morning, my tale unfolded as winter cloaked the world in a heavy, quiet shroud of snow. The world beyond appeared quiet, yet my thoughts were anything but calm. My son, Nathan, a gifted 21-year-old artist, had withdrawn into the space he referred to as his studio. A nook of our home that Nathan had turned into his personal realm, brimming with incomplete canvases, jars of vibrant paint, and an array of brushes scattered about. On that chilly morning, I cocooned myself in a thick robe, trying to fend off the relentless cold that crept through every crevice of the house. I settled at the kitchen table, cradling a steaming cup of coffee in my hands. Nathan had spent the night immersed in his painting, and I couldn't bring myself to disturb his peaceful slumber in the morning. As I gazed out at the frost-kissed window, the soft creaking of the stairs resonated through the stillness of the house. "Good morning, Mom," Nathan said in his calm voice, cradling a cup of tea and a freshly painted canvas. His hair was a wild mess. His face still bore the remnants of slumber, yet his eyes sparkled with a vibrant thrill. Nathan gently leaned the painting against the kitchen counter, as if it held a tale waiting to be unveiled. A smile spread across my face as I felt the lively energy emanating from him, even amidst the chill of winter. "Did you find rest in the embrace of the night?" I inquired, blending curiosity with a touch of concern. Nathan shrugged, a bashful grin spreading across his face. I found myself engrossed in a task. "Are you curious to take a look?" I nodded, my heart brimming with excitement for the unfolding tale. Nathan flipped the painting, and as soon as my eyes landed on it, a soft gasp escaped my lips. The painting captured the imagination, featuring a figure enveloped in gentle light, radiating a captivating mix of power and fragility. The richness it held was remarkable, exceeding what I imagined someone of 21 could convey. "It's truly enchanting, Nathan," I murmured, with heartfelt sincerity. "You possess a unique talent." Nathan felt a warm flush spread across his cheeks, a hint of crimson illuminating his face. "Thanks, Mom. Your support has been the reason for my journey and progress." In that stillness, we connected deeply, letting the silence speak for us. The unspoken bond was profound, shared between mother and son, two solitary spirits dwelling beneath the same frigid ceiling. My husband, the man I had shared my life with for decades, was truly a remarkable individual. Yet his endeavors and passions beyond the household consistently drew him away from his dwelling. Their absence hung around me a silent specter, creating voids that I gradually came to embrace as part of my journey. In that instant, gazing at Nathan, my son, who had transformed into an extraordinary individual right before my very eyes, I was struck by a singular truth. We forged a profound bond that I cherished immensely. That afternoon, as the gentle sunlight danced through the frost-kissed windows, my curiosity beckoned me closer. With a sense of anticipation, I softly approached Nathan's studio. The atmosphere was rich with the fragrance of oil paint, the nostalgia of aged canvas, and the warm essence of handcrafted frames, a gentle golden glow filtered through, enveloping the incomplete artworks in a tranquil charm. Nathan stood before the easel, his brush gliding with unwavering concentration, his gaze lifted as he became aware of my presence. A gentle smile danced across his lips, a blend of remorse and warmth that beckoned one closer, wondering what tales I'm weaving. "Mom," Nathan playfully nudged, his eyes sparkling with a comforting light. With a gentle smile, I entered with a light step. "May I have a glimpse of it?" Nathan shifted slightly, unveiling the artwork. Once upon a time, there was a collection of hands. Every hand conveyed a unique feeling, crafted with touches that were both gentle and forceful. A hand that shakes with agony, a gentle hand that offers solace, a fist that embodies resolve. My admiration was impossible to conceal. "They are truly stunning. Nathan, you have a unique way of noticing the hidden details that escape most people's attention." Nathan set aside his brush and turned to me, his eyes reflecting a deep contemplation. "I'm excited to embark on a new adventure. Mom, once upon a time, there was a remarkable entity known as the human body, a complex, an intricate masterpiece of nature. Each part played a vital role in the grand narrative of life, working together in harmony to create a living story, filled with wonder and mystery, yet it goes beyond mere structure. I aspire to capture feelings, relationships, and the essence of what language fails to convey." My heart began to flutter. Nathan's words struck a chord, illuminating the depths of my emotional solitude, the spot where I laid to rest my solitude, my desire to be acknowledged, to be recognized, to be comprehended. I nodded, my voice barely a murmur. "Your perspective on the world is truly unique, Nathan." In that moment, I sensed the unseen connection between us grow a bit stronger. Not merely a mother and son, but two individuals reconnecting through art and shared emotion. A chilly gust whispered through the gaps in the window, nudging the curtain gently as if to highlight the profound silence that enveloped the room. That evening, the house echoed with a profound sense of solitude, as my husband was once again off enjoying a night of bowling with his friends. It was only Nathan and I together in our own little world, two comforting figures amidst the chill of the winter's embrace. As I settled into the living room, I found myself leafing through an old magazine, seeking to fill the silence with a semblance of activity, masking the void that lingered around me. Out of nowhere, Nathan emerged from the studio, cradling a small box in his hands. The glow from the fireplace danced in his eyes, giving them an almost fiery appearance. "Mom, I have an idea," Nathan exclaimed, setting the box down before me, his voice brimming with enthusiasm. My gaze lifted, filled with astonishment. "Can you share what it is?" Nathan rubbed his hands together, a spark of anticipation dancing in his eyes. "I wish to create a portrait of you, not merely a standard portrait, but to capture you in the essence of how I truly perceive you." I stood still, not due to the thought of being captured on canvas, but because of the intensity in Nathan's gaze, genuine, heartfelt, as though I was the center of his universe. With a hint of shyness, Nathan said, "Inside the box, there's a special surprise. Please don it while you strike a pose." With a flutter of excitement, I lifted the lid of the tiny box. Within lay a red satin robe, glistening and flowing gracefully in the warm glow of the firelight. With a mix of astonishment and confusion, I raised my gaze to Nathan. His gaze held a tranquil sincerity, free from any hint of tension or discomfort. There exists a bond woven from trust, admiration, and a profound Highland longing. Allow me to reveal the essence of who you are. I remained motionless, a slight tremor in my hands, as I glided my fingers across the silky satin fabric. Its deep red hue radiated warmth reminiscent of a flickering flame in the biting cold of winter, both alluring and making me feel more vulnerable than ever. Nathan remained still, his gaze steady and understanding, allowing me the space to choose my own path. With a deep breath, the moment unfolded. A part of me, the nurturer, the woman who had long concealed herself beneath the weight of responsibility, paused. Yet another aspect, the one silently longing for recognition, for connection, began to awaken with a restless desire to respond. In that moment, I murmured softly, hardly aware that the sound was my own. A radiant grin spread over Nathan's face. With a calm demeanor, he nodded and gestured toward the staircase. "I'll prepare everything for you. Just change and join me when you're set." He cradled the box against my chest, ascending the stairs with a deliberate slowness. With every step, it seemed as though the distance between my thoughts and my feelings was expanding. As I stepped into the room, the door softly clicked shut, sealing off the world outside. In solitude, I faced my reflection in the glass. I shed the layers of thick, heavy clothing exposing skin that may not be as firm as it once was in my youth, yet still holds the gentle softness of a woman shaped by the passage of time. As I wrapped the robe around my shoulders, a sense of warmth enveloped me, inviting me into a world of comfort and imagination. The smooth satin embraced every contour wrapping around me, as though it were crafted solely for my form. As I stood before the mirror, the reflection revealed a woman I could hardly identify. A storyteller, a partner for life, a tale of a woman residing in a vessel that appears to have been weathered by the passage of time and the weight of responsibilities. In that instant, a spark ignited within me. It dawned on me that beneath it all I remained present. "Evelyn, let me share a tale with you." Brimming with longing, fervent feelings, and aspirations that remained unspoken, I wrapped the robe snugly around me, summoning every ounce of bravery to venture down the stairs. Nathan had transformed the living room into a new space. The armchair inched nearer to the crackling warmth of the fireplace, inviting tales of old to come alive in the flickering glow. A gentle white curtain draped softly in the background, creating a serene setting for the dancing glow of the firelight. The atmosphere was enveloped in a soft, inviting, ethereal light. As I made my entrance, Nathan lifted his gaze. His eyes held onto me, filled with unreserved appreciation. It was no longer the innocent look of a child, nor fully the discerning stare of an adult, but rather an intriguing blend of the two. A deep respect, a sense of awe, and the essence of something beyond words. "You look stunning," Nathan murmured, his voice soft and a touch raspy. With a subtle smile, I attempted to mask my embarrassment and made my way to the chair he indicated. "Text. Nathan instructed you to find a position that felt most comfortable and natural," his hand resting confidently on his chest. I nodded, allowing myself to be enveloped by the cozy glow of the fireplace, releasing the burdens of the day that had settled heavily upon me. The gentle taps of the brush meeting the palette, the rhythmic motion of the initial strokes on the canvas, broke the stillness reminiscent of a tranquil and steady heartbeat. Nathan painted in quiet contemplation, his deep, dark eyes occasionally lifting to absorb every nuance around him. The graceful arc of my wrist, the soft glow dancing along my collarbone, the delicate draping of the robe over my shoulders. I sensed Nathan's keen eye as he meticulously studied my stance, committed to portraying every nuance with an artistic touch. both gentle and intentional. Every time our gazes intertwined, I was filled with profound emotion, and my heart was set ablaze. In the silence, an unspoken understanding lingered, a subtle change weaving its way into the space between us. Our connection transformed into uncharted emotional realms, deepening our creative bond beyond mother and artist. On that quiet winter night, an intense emotional connection was slowly unfolding between us. The glow from the fireplace danced across the room, casting flickering shades of orange and red that brought the space to life. Each stroke of Nathan's brush on the canvas seemed to weave a narrative that went beyond the surface, reaching into the very core of my feelings. I remained motionless, yet within me, every sensation was pulled tight, ready to break at any moment. Eventually, Nathan set the brush aside, cleaned his hands with a small cloth, and made his way over to me. "Are you feeling chilly, Mom?" His voice carried a soothing warmth, wrapping around you like a comforting embrace. I shook my head, yet my heart quivered more fiercely than the frigid breeze beyond the walls. "I just want to make a small change," Nathan murmured, his voice barely above a whisper, as if it feared breaking the serene silence surrounding them. I gave a silent nod. He reached out softly, raising my chin to let the warm glow of the fireplace illuminate my features. Nathan's hand radiated warmth and steadiness, yet the intimacy of the moment caused my heart to tighten. His gaze locked onto mine, steady and resolute. In that instant, I glimpsed in Nathan's eyes an infinite trust, a quiet admiration that spoke volumes without uttering a single word. I should have turned my gaze. I was aware. Nathan's hand drifted away gently, yet the space between us had shrunk to a mere breath. "Julian, you see," had his hand tightly clenched, as if he was summoning his inner strength. "In this moment, your beauty shines brighter than anything I've ever witnessed." I took a deep breath. How much time had passed since those words last graced my ears? Not from David, my husband, who feels more and more like a stranger, not from those nearby, whose looks had turned frigid and detached. Only Nathan, with his genuine warmth, brought me into the light, made me feel cherished. I offered a quivering smile, one that held more uncertainty than happiness. I softly murmured, "You have a way of being so kind to me." Yet in our hearts we both understood that what had just unfolded between us was a profound, indescribable bond, confined yet unmistakable. Once more, the room was enveloped in silence. Nathan picked up the brush, returning to the canvas, yet an unspoken change lingered between us. Subtle and lasting, I found myself in a cozy spot, the fire softly embracing my satin robe, while Nathan's fleeting looks danced around me. Gone is the innocent stare of youth, replaced by a quiet look of appreciation and pride. Time meandered gently, each moment rich and vivid, leaving an indelible mark on the mind. As Nathan set his brush aside, he moved closer and settled in front of me, his deep brown eyes conveying a silent question, filled with a quiet anticipation that needed no words. As my fingers brushed through his tousled hair, it felt like a silent connection, a delicate gesture reminiscent of two spirits, reuniting after wandering through the vastness of solitude. Silence enveloped the moment. No boundaries crossed, just being there, just restoration. A gentle, heartfelt sensation, sufficient for two fragile spirits to realize they had found companionship in their shared journey following that kiss. The atmosphere in the room thickened with unexpressed feelings, creating an almost palpable tension. Nathan remained before me, his expression a blend of trepidation and anticipation. I rose to my feet, and moved a few paces toward the fireplace, seeking a moment to regain my composure. Yet I could sense Nathan's eyes lingering on me, tracking my every subtle shift. "Mother," he whispered, his voice trembling with emotion. I turned back, feeling the weight of those eyes. Eyes that held within them a world of sincerity, longing, and a hint of confusion. I whispered gently, but then fell silent. Is there a word powerful enough to capture the whirlwind of feelings in my heart at this moment? Can any words truly capture the essence of what just unfolded? Nathan rose to his feet, taking his time as he approached me, unhurried and calm. Every step whispers a query, and I alone possess the response. "Do you wish things had turned out differently, Mom?" you inquire. Your voice quivers, yet your eyes remain steadfast. I gaze at you for what felt like an eternity, perceiving the trepidation, the purity, and the emerging bravery behind that inquiry. What if there are tales of solitude that linger in the heart, and I find myself reflecting on the chapters where I allowed loneliness to take the lead for far too long? Once I allowed a void to seep into every corner of my heart, and now I find myself longing for the warmth of connection. In this moment, I find myself free of any regrets. I gently but resolutely shook my head. Nathan exhaled deeply, as though he had just set down a weighty load. He stepped closer, and this time I stood my ground. Nathan's hand enveloped mine, holding on with a firm, comforting embrace. In silence, we both felt it. The delicate line that once separated us had been shattered, and there was no way to restore it to its former state. "I'm going to feel sad, Mom," Nathan whispered, his eyes appearing to capture my attention. "My greatest wish is for your happiness, Mom." I smiled with a hint of sorrow, feeling a tug at my heart. Since when did the one who sought refuge turn into the seeker of the missing fragment of my essence? I softly caressed his face, a tender reminder of the days when he was just a child, and I would soothe him to sleep each afternoon. Yet on this occasion, the contact transcended mere maternal warmth. It held a depth that was both haunting and exquisite. As we stood in close proximity, Nathan's gentle reassurance came through a soft touch on my shoulder, prompting me to close my eyes and embrace the moment. A tender, pure kiss, yet it caused my tears to stream freely, not from regret nor from fear, but because for the first time in countless years, someone truly recognized me, embracing all my vulnerability, pain, and yearning. Nathan stood beside me quietly, a steadfast presence, as if he were a guardian against the chaos of the world beyond. I allowed myself to rest against you, releasing all the tough masks I had held for such a long time. "I'm here," Nathan murmured softly, his breath brushing against my ear. "I will always be by your side from now on." I recognized that commitment was somewhat idealistic. It's clear that what is unfolding is seen as a misstep by societal standards and expectations. In that instant, within the softly illuminated space, two individuals stood together, two solitary spirits who had discovered one another. I surrendered to that embrace, if only for tonight. For tomorrow, I doubt we will find the strength to confront what lies ahead. Yet here I am in this crisp winter night, fully aware of the warmth of existence and the embrace of love. The following morning, the delicate winter sunlight streamed through the curtains, painting the room in a warm golden glow. As I stirred awake, the cozy blanket wrapped around me, a weight settled in my chest, reminding me of all that had unfolded. Nathan had vanished from the scene. I propped myself up against the headboard, absorbing the stillness enveloping me. A stillness that had shifted from serene charged with expectation and uncertainty. From below, the soft sound of dishes gently clinking reached my ears. With a rush of adrenaline, I slipped into a robe and hurried down the stairs. My heart pounding in my chest, Nathan stood by the kitchen counter crafting breakfast with an air of normalcy, as if the world outside had not shifted at all. His gaze locked with mine, and in that instant, I glimpsed a tapestry of worry, love, and regret woven into his eyes. "Good morning, Mum." Nathan began, his voice rich, yet tinged with a hint of nervousness. "How about a cup of coffee?" I nodded, unsure if my voice would hold steady if I dared to speak. Nathan poured coffee into my favorite mug, each movement deliberate, as if the slightest misstep could break the delicate connection we shared. I grasped the cup, my fingers gently grazing his. That fleeting touch sent a shiver through us, leaving us momentarily suspended in time. Nathan's gaze met mine, a flicker of words dancing on his lips. Yet he held back, caught in a moment of hesitation. I settled into my seat at the dining table, fingers wrapped around the cup holding onto the delicate remnants of routine. "Oh dear, Mom." At last, Nathan found his voice, though it came out with uncertainty. "I apologize if the events of last night left you feeling uneasy." As I lifted my gaze, our eyes met in a moment of connection. In that gaze, there was a narrative unfolding filled with unspoken sorrow. I gently moved my head from side to side. "Absolutely not, Nathan." My voice was raspy. "I have no regrets yet. We must take the time to unravel the significance of this moment." Nathan sealed his lips, giving a subtle nod. He settled into his chair, the distance between us charged with a sense of closeness and filled with things left unsaid. We lingered in quiet contemplation for what felt like an eternity. As the evening unfolded, delicate snowflakes drifted down from the sky, each one finding its resting place on the windowsill with a whisper of grace. As I gazed at the snowflakes, I found myself pondering the journey of my life and how it had veered away from all that was once familiar. Once I was a woman of great strength and unwavering resolve, a picture of grace, a heart full of love. Yet, here I was sitting in front of my son, grappling with feelings that eluded my grasp. "I understand," I replied in a measured tone. "What transpired between us last night feels at odds with how the outside world might perceive it." Karen Nathan's hands tightened into fists as he set them firmly on the table. "I don't care about the world outside," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You are my main focus. I wish for you to have companionship every single day." My heart ached. Had anyone ever gazed at me in such a way throughout all these years? Had anyone ever perceived the depth of my solitude as vividly as Nathan did in this moment? Yet Nathan, a life rich with experiences is what you truly deserve, I murmured softly. "It wasn't my doing, not due to my limitations." Nathan shook his head with fervor. "You don't understand," he said, his eyes shining with fervor. "You are not lacking in any way. Your presence illuminates my world, inspiring me to strive for greatness." Silent tears flowed down my cheeks. I covered my mouth, trying to stifle the tears that threatened to spill over. Nathan rose from his seat, circled the table, and knelt before me. "Your well-being means the world to me, and I want you to always feel supported and connected." I surrender, leaning my head against his shoulder, embracing the moment, letting go of all pretense. Just two souls embracing in a world that would never understand their bond. In that instant, all that existed was the undeniable reality. And that reality revealed I had been noticed. I had been cherished in a manner I once believed was lost to me forever in this lifetime. That morning we lingered in each other's presence, savoring the stillness as if the instant we separated, the world would come crashing down. Nathan remained on his knees before me, his hands firmly clasping mine, his eyes filled with an intensity that suggested he wished to imprint this moment forever in his soul. I softly raised his chin, compelling myself to gaze into his eyes, which were brimming with admiration, yearning, and an unspoken sorrow. With a deep breath, I sought to find my balance once more. "Nathan," I murmured, "we must ponder this with great care." Last night unfolded in a way that transcends mere feelings. It holds the power to transform everything. He nodded, steadfast in his resolve. "I understand, and I embrace it." My heart ached as the snowflakes danced down from the sky. A tempest of feelings swirled inside me, igniting a fire that couldn't be contained. There was a part of me that yearned to escape, to retreat from the undeniable reality that stood starkly before us. Yet there was another side, the fragile side, the side that had endured solitude for ages, clinging to the hope of lingering just a bit more. I rose to my feet, and Nathan mirrored my movement, his gaze fixed intently on me. The space that separated us now seemed so delicate. With just one touch, all barriers dissolved into nothingness. As I announced my intention to take a walk, a subtle quiver danced in my voice. I must take a moment to reflect. Nathan merely nodded, his eyes betraying the hidden pain he struggled to conceal. With a swift motion, I donned my coat and ventured out into the world beyond my door. The brisk air brushed against my cheeks, stirring my senses and pulling me into the moment. As the snow continued to descend, each fragile flake shimmered gently in the soft glow of the winter morning light. As I strolled along the snow-blanketed trail, my footprints lingered, remnants of moments gone by forever, etched in the white canvas beneath me. I found myself reflecting on Nathan, the way he looked at me, the soft words he shared in my ear just last night. I reflected on the many years spent with David, the husband who seemed distant even in his presence, the man who allowed me to quietly fade in my own existence. And I reflected on my journey, the woman who once envisioned a vibrant future, who once embraced love with fervor, who once held the conviction that she was worthy of recognition of affection. When had I wandered so far from who I truly am? A chilling breeze swept in, sending a shiver down my spine. I wrapped my coat around me more snugly, trying to hold on to the last bits of warmth that lingered. Yet the true comfort I experienced wasn't sourced from the coat itself. It emerged from Nathan's eyes, from his powerful hold, from the sensation of being acknowledged and cherished after countless years of slipping into the shadows. I glanced back at the house, a weight settling in my chest. I realized that I could no longer escape my fate. A choice loomed ahead, one that would alter the course of everything. As I opened the door and entered the room, Nathan was already perched on the couch, his gaze fixed on me, as if my arrival held the key to his very existence. Upon catching sight of me, he sprang to his feet, his gaze a mix of anticipation and concern. "Mom," he paused. "Have you pondered it?" I approached him with a deliberate pace, my hands quivering just a bit as I lifted them to caress Nathan's cheek. He nestled against my hand like a tiny feline in search of comfort, shutting his eyes and letting out a soft sigh. "Nathan," I whispered, my voice trembling. "What we experienced was undeniable. Yet it's important for you to realize that your entire future lies before you." Nathan opened his eyes and looked directly at me, his gaze burning with intensity. I have a clear understanding of my actions. I have no regrets. With a tender grip, I held his hand, as if to gather strength from the young man I had nurtured, cherished, and now loved in a manner that the world would never embrace. And I softly spoke, "May time lead our way." "Nathan, there's no need to hurry yet." I can't act as if everything is unchanged. A subtle grin danced across his lips. Nathan leaned down, his voice a soothing balm, wrapping me in kind, comforting words. Gentle and reverent, echoing with unspoken promises. "I'll be here," he murmured softly, "for as long as it takes." For the first time in ages, I found myself embracing the idea that maybe, just maybe, love, despite its quirks and the judgment it faces, could still flourish in the most unexpected places, if we had the courage to heed the whispers of our heart. As the years rolled on, that winter night lingered in my memory, a delicate scar that told a tale of its own. With each passing day, Nathan and I found ourselves moving to a fresh cadence, quiet and careful, yet unmistakably present. We allowed the moments between us to unfold naturally, embracing them without haste or denial. We found ourselves in each other's company, letting fleeting instances blend into an emotion that was both tender and thrilling. David, my husband, appeared completely oblivious to any shift in the atmosphere. He was caught up in the whirlwind of his job, navigating through endless business trips and phone calls that often concluded suddenly with, "I have to go to a meeting." I continued to navigate through it all like a well-known presence, yet my heart felt fragmented. Each time I gazed into Nathan's eyes, a sense of inevitability washed over me, making it clear that there was no turning back. There were evenings when Nathan would immerse himself in his drawings in the studio, while I found myself beside him, attempting to read a book that my mind struggled to grasp. As I glanced upward, our eyes met, and in that moment, it felt like every barrier I had constructed within myself began to crumble. In the midst of the brushstrokes and tender gestures, our bond flourished, rich with significance and unwavering support. On a drizzly afternoon, Nathan set aside his incomplete drawing and came over to me. He lowered himself before the chair I occupied, grasping my hand with his gaze more intense than I had ever seen. "Mom," Nathan murmured, his voice thick with feeling, "I'm here to stay. The opinions of the world hold no weight for me. All I seek is your presence." I held back the tears, my teeth sinking into my lip as I fought to keep them at bay. "Nathan, gather round and let me share a tale with you. Refrain." He shook his head, his eyes aflame with intensity. "Though fear may grip you, remember that you have companions by your side in this journey I've arrived." In that instant, the truth became undeniable. His presence meant the world to me, just as mine did to him. A deep desire to be acknowledged, to experience warmth, to be cherished as an individual, rather than merely fulfilling the roles of a devoted mother or a loyal wife. In that room where the scent of paint mingled with the rhythmic patter of rain outside, we shared a warm embrace, a hug that transcended mere solace, transforming into an unspoken promise that regardless of the outcome we would hold on tight. Yet the fabric of life often weaves fleeting moments of joy, never permitting them to endure endlessly. On a night that seemed ordinary, David made an unexpected early return. He entered the house to discover Nathan and me nestled together on the couch in a way that would surely raise a father's eyebrows. David's eyes locked onto the space that separated us, taking in my expression and Nathan's demeanor. An eerie hush enveloped the space. Nathan let go of my hand in a flash, rising to his feet with sudden intensity. I too stumbled instinctively, Yet in David's gaze, a fracture had formed despite his silence. "What's happening in this place?" David inquired, his tone steady yet eerily unsettling. I found myself at a loss for words. Nathan was about to speak, but I swiftly tightened my grip on his hand, a wordless request for him to hold back. "Refrain." "It's nothing," I murmured, bowing my head like one caught in a moment of shame. David fixed his gaze on me, the chill in his eyes deepening with each passing moment. In that moment, he quietly walked away, leaving behind an unspoken tale. The silence with which he ascended the stairs, devoid of any outcry, pierced my heart 100 times deeper. Under the cover of darkness, I found myself wide awake. Nathan ventured into my room just as he had done in the past. In the thick stillness, every sound in the house echoed like a whisper from the past. In that instant, I realized that nothing would ever be the same again. We were observed, not for particular deeds, but for the feelings that we could no longer conceal. Even in his silence, I grasped the unspoken tale he carried within. What had been witnessed could not be dismissed, as though it had never occurred. One morning, Nathan appeared at my door, suitcase clutched tightly in his hand. His eyes glowed with a fiery hue, yet his stare held an unwavering resolve. "I'm leaving," Nathan said, his voice quivering with emotion. "Time is what I seek, and so do you, my friend." I nodded, holding back the flood of emotions within me. There were no desperate cries, no goodbyes, only a fragile murmur left in the air. "Always keep in mind, no matter the distance, my love for you remains unwavering." As Nathan stepped through the door, softly clicked shut, marking the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. I lingered. In the stillness of the vacant home, the sound of my heart shattering, echoing in the silence. In life, there are boundaries that once we step beyond, we can never return to the way things were. What unfolded between Nathan and me is something I can't take pride in, and I'm not here to make excuses for it. In that stifling, icy instant, our eyes met and everything else faded away. Not through the masks society places upon us, but as bare and solitary souls, yearning for affection. When Nathan departed, I began to grasp a harsh reality. Love, when misaligned with the right circumstances, can transform into a scar that lingers indefinitely. And there are missteps, even if cloaked in quietude, that will resonate in every pulse. The future is a mystery waiting to unfold. Since that day, a piece of me has been irreparably shattered, a chapter that has closed forever. How do you feel about this narrative? Have you ever experienced that deep sense of isolation and the yearning for recognition that might drive someone to such lengths? In a moment like that, would you opt for quietude to safeguard what you hold dear? Or would you be brave enough to confront the deepest, most hidden feelings within your soul? We'd love to hear your reflections in the comments. I eagerly anticipate listening to your experiences and heartfelt emotions, for within those expressions we might uncover fragments of our own essence.